Hey, everybody. This is Rob Gauthier, the ET Whisperer. I'm just going to come in here, guys, really quick and make sure that we're live. I do not want to miss any sort of audio. I want to make sure our audio is working 100%. All of you guys who are here, welcome. I'm live streaming on both my YouTube channels, the ET Whisperer and ET Whisperer Channel 2. As well as Facebook. So hello, guys, to everybody who's there. If you can hear me too, let me know because I'm digging for my video link and I cannot find it. Oh, no, that's the ET Whisper Channel 2. Oh, that'll still work. Oh, perfect. All right, guys, so I'm on and I am live. How's it going tonight, everybody? I had a channeling class with somebody. I have two people left who are doing private channeling classes, and then I'm done doing one-on-one classes. For those of you guys who've heard, I'm updating my calendar and services. I've already got all that stuff done, so that's been new. Hello, Bree. Hello, Angel. How you guys doing? All right. If Patreon is giving you trouble, if you can reach out to me on Facebook, I might be able to help you with that. It depends on what it's doing. If Patreon's an issue, they do all their own tech support. So if it's anything besides accessing the material that we have, it's definitely something that we wouldn't be able to help you with because they've got their own tech support. And we're not in charge of like passwords or account safety or payments or any of that stuff. But if it's something along those lines, let me know, and we'll see what we can do. Hello, Divine Huda. How are you doing? Lisa, hello. How you guys doing tonight? Welcome, everybody. It's good to see you guys here tonight. Wonderful evening tonight. It's a little late here in Michigan, but I figured I might as well jump in. Kalina Angell, the one and only, who will be releasing her video by the end of the year to get her YouTube channel started, guys. She's amazing. She's back sleeping with the baby, or back laying down with the baby. So if the baby wakes up, it won't cut in or interfere with tonight's sharing. I'm not going to be on a huge time tonight, but I'm going to be on long enough to chat for a little bit, long enough to do some channeling and all of that. Angel, if that is the case, if it's something to do with the payments, unfortunately, we cannot do anything about it. But if you contact Patreon, if you look up on Google Patreon support or Patreon customer service, it will take you to a place called Zendesk. And Zendesk, you put in a request by email, and usually within a day they get back with you. So they're pretty good about that. Let them know, because unfortunately that's one part of Patreon we can't help you with. I'm sorry about that, Angel, but definitely get a hold of them. They'll take care of it. Hey, Ren, how are you? How you doing, brother? It's good to see you, Conrad. Hello. Cosmic love to you too. Hello, guys. Glad to see everybody's up, man. Sunday night, coming at 11:20. I know most of my East Coasters might not catch me a little late for a pre-work day. Hello, Butterfly Girl. So wonderful to see you here. Hello. Yes, I'm glad everybody got a chance to jump in and check it out too. I'm on Facebook tonight, guys. I'm on YouTube, on simulcasting on my official ET Whisper YouTube channel and my ET channel number 2. Yeah, the internet's doing a lot better, brother. That thing that you suggested for me helped a little bit. And we still had a problem getting to the other end, but we lifted up the router and we used one of those, I can't remember what they call, not signal repeaters, but the ones that you plug in the wall that makes the electric conductivity like a boost to the internet signal. Between both of those, it worked great. So thank you for all your help with that, Ren. Yes, it was a huge help. Tina, hello. Ivan, hello. Lisa, hello. Hello from Phoenix. All right. Ivan's throwing out that he is from Phoenix, guys. I'm from Kalamazoo, Michigan, right in town today from Kalamazoo. Where are you guys at in the world? Let me know what's going on. Yes, I'm glad you're here too, Lisa. It's very wonderful. Let us know where in the world you guys are coming from. We'll get a shout out to everybody from all across the world. That's the beautiful thing about this channeling. It just happens to land all the way across the world, which is a beautiful thing. When I look at the statistics on YouTube before, upstate New York from Lisa. What's up, upstate New York? Literally every continent and 130 some countries. So literally almost every country in the world, at least one person has seen us. Canadian Awareness. Hello. How are you doing, brother? Our good friend Anthony from Canadian Awareness. It's great to see you, brother. Abigail. Hello. It's wonderful, guys. Yeah, I'm hoping so, brother. I'm hoping that tonight will be a great night for everybody to learn some stuff. This is the stuff I love talking about. It's really wonderful to get into the consciousness aspects of things. It's something that I've learned a lot about in my time with Treb and Aridif, and something that's really helped me kind of connect better is channeling. And I've tried to tell people before that when you channel, if you're in a flow of channeling, for me, I'm a trance channeler, so I don't know if this works with everyone, but for most people I hear who channel, they say once they've channeled it, they're able to connect with that consciousness more deeply. So they're able to express that energy and share it out. And that has been better for me. And that tends to be why I think I grasp this information so quickly. Ren, I'm not sure about donations. I appreciate the sentiment. If you can't, don't worry about it. And nobody has to donate by all means. We're here to do whatever we can. But if you want to donate, you can always go to the website too, the donation tab on the bottom. But yeah, guys, don't worry about donations. Oh, somehow the speaker keeps coming on and I've shut it off twice. Let me check this out, guys. Sorry about that. Let me try to get this thing off because I don't want it beeping while we're trying to do some channeling and all that stuff. I don't see where the power is. Oh, right there. Power. I guess I had to be smarter than the speaker, right? Okay, I think that turned it on. So maybe. Okay, either way. Let's hope it's off, right? Hello, Edgar. How you doing, brother? It's nice to see you. Alcy, hello. No worries, sweetheart. No worries, speaker. No, don't worry about it. I think I turned it off. I hit the round button on the bottom, and it looked like that did the trick. That's all right. She's coming anyway. Yeah. It's nice to see you guys here. Yes, it's a little UFO floating speaker. That's it. Ruben Langdon, the one and only Ruben Langdon, everybody. As you guys know, Ruben Langdon from Interview with Extra Dimensionals, one of the best guys out there doing this field of work. He's legitimately one of the greats out there. And Kalina, you have anything to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to say hi to you guys. I came out. Sorry about I left my Bluetooth speaker out here. I don't know how it got onto Rob's computer, but it did. So
yeah, it was over here right by my phone. I don't even knew what it was,
and the
really.
baby's in the crib, so I thought, oh, I'll come out, I'll grab it, so it won't give you any problems. But I love you guys very much. I'm going to be listening and on chat, and yeah. It's very exciting.
Absolutely. Thank you, sweetie. Love you. Love you. Georgie, hello from Colorado. Hello. Howdy from Austin. Jemingis. I always mess that up. Malik, hello from Greenland. Oh, gotta love Greenland. I really want to come to Greenland, Malik, and or Malik, I'm sorry. I definitely want to come there one day. Greenland and Iceland are two places I really want to go. Philadelphia, sauce. I'm horrible with anything that's not Bob, guys. Sorry about that. Julie from Arizona. Maui. Luca from Maui. Absolutely. 1111. Robin from Ontario. Hello, hello. It's wonderful to see you guys here, man. It's really great. I'm wondering how I've been so lucky in the last 10 years to receive such great people who connect with the work and who love the work that I do, who communicate with me with love and respect, and just the positive feedback that I get from people compared to the negative feedback has been just amazing. Thank you, Ren. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you. I do appreciate the donation, brother. Thank you. It's something that has been really on my heart and mind lately. I feel blessed because it's been such a crazy ride lately with me and Kalina. And this year we're trying to give back to you guys who've given to us for the last 3 years while we haven't been able to do much for the collective. And it's always a weighing effort for me. I had to weigh with my family, and obviously I've got to do family before anything else. But this year is giving back. It's creating more energy flow for me, trying to create a connection with everyone back out in the collective, and also create more abundance for myself and Kalina. We're ready to transmute the energy of living in apartments, living on top of everyone else, and try to get into a place that's nice. So there's a lot of energy we've got that's just shifting. And I threw out my astrology port, the one with Rick, the astrologer, who's an amazing guy. And I shared some of that. And some of that actually just shadowed the years that I'd gone through and the years ahead. It's like he read the book of my life out on that and expressed it so well. And the guy has no clue who I am. And just, respect to that amazing gift of being able to read that way. And just shared, and it was a perfect mimic. So I'm really, really excited, guys. Just to be here with good people, having good times, and sharing good information. Omni Collective, hello. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Omni. All of you guys are amazing. You guys are just really great. I'm going to get ready to start chatting, guys. And if I miss you in the chat, I apologize. I always love to say hi to everybody as I can, but I want to get down to business. I don't have too long on tonight, and I want to make sure I get at least a little time to channel Aridif too, to see what he can share on this topic. Consciousness mechanics, okay? Let's talk about how consciousness works. Consciousness is the driver for physical things. So all these universe physicality, hard physical things that we're seeing, and these beings who are higher dimensional consciousnesses, and connected to that higher dimensional consciousness, is always something that non-physical consciousness can only experience by becoming physical, right? It's like, people say you don't know what it is to be dead until you're dead. You can't experience the other side until you're there. Well, that works both ways. It's a reverse of street, You can't be a non-physical, all-connected, omnipresent, omnipotent consciousness of oneness unless you're there. And how would you experience something outside of that? Well, the beautiful thing about, going to be dead from being a human is something that all of us will do, but it's very rare that we choose it consciously or make a concerted effort physically to transmute that place and then to go into that non-physical state. But the other way around, it's very conscious and very concise and very planned and very detailed. And that non-physical consciousness works on all these different levels. So imagine one universe, okay? Just one universe, the amount of things that have to happen, the amount of consciousness that it takes to create a universe, the amount of fractals of consciousness in a larger sense, it's definitely huge. The experience of fractalizing consciousness from an entire universe. Think of all the galaxies we can see with our telescope, right? We look out there, we can see hundreds of billions of galaxies, and that's actually nothing. We're only seeing a small part of the universe. The expansive nature of the universe, kind of shows you really, in all honesty, how fast the physical universe is expanding, shows you how the consciousness in the beings that live in that universe are expanding. So, people say humans are a daft race. Maybe we are. Maybe we're not too bright, but the universe is amazing. And you could tell just by seeing when something's expanding faster than the speed of light can go, or something similar to that. I mean, literally, the energy is just immense. And that expansion of the universe comes from the expansion of the consciousness that's in it. Now, what consciousness is in a physical reality? Well, let's think about it. All the things we know as life is something. But the elements, those are first density, and the plants and animals are covered in the things we know, but that's second density. And third density is what humans have lived their whole life. And fourth density, some of you guys who've been into this stuff long enough understand a little bit about the densities. Fourth density is the next layer of evolution as a soul goes, where third density, going from an animal to a human, what was required is to stop living in instinct and start living in an experience of knowing yourself, like a true version of knowing yourself. Animals are great. They're really tuned in. They understand the higher consciousness, but it's because they're instinctual. They're not creating filters with mental energies. And give me 1 second, guys, here too. I'm going to take a drink of water. So, animals are instinctual, and humans leaving that third or second density animal realm to go into the third density human realm have to stop being as instinctual. And it doesn't happen overnight, just like a tree doesn't grow overnight, or a species doesn't evolve through evolution as a purpose of planetary evolution. When you see these animals that become more evolved as the millennia go by, that didn't happen overnight either. But eventually, a second density race begins to step away from instinct and start heading into that consciousness that's more self-aware, that's more self-involved. Now, animals live through instinct, and that means their body is also trained to be instinctual. You see an animal that's been abused. Everyone's seen it. It's very sad when you go to pet a dog and they cower back, or if you try to touch or pet a cat and they run away, and you know that these animals have been abused. Part of that is their mental memory. Cats and dogs are fairly evolved, and they're transferring to third density like humans are going from third to fourth, but we'll touch that a little later. But still, the majority of that energy is not a mental memory. This isn't them looking back into their mind and processing a focus of energy that says, oh my God, my owner hits me every time I try to take a bite of food, or they're not looking at a memory. They're feeling that inside of their body, and they're correlating it with what's going on now. So the reason you can train a dog, or the reason you can train any animal, is that when they remember in the body that an experience such as this always correlates to this, an experience of me sitting down when I'm ready to eat always ends in reward, which sustenance in the body, then that dog remembers. If I sit down, I'll get food, and it's stored right in the body. The reward system, the brain, the synapses, the neurons, those fire off in the brain when the food comes. So they know, now if I relax and sit in a submissive state, I'll receive it. And they remember it in the body and partially in the mind. Yeah, but it's not like the human kind. It's very much like a baby who has to repeat things over and over again to learn it. And can't hold on to that longer term memory. It's a responsiveness in the same way that if you chew my sandals, if you chew sandals, then the old owner would hit you with a newspaper or smack you, that pain, that quick snapping of pain and the quick snapping out of a happy state into a submissive state, it's memorized in the body. It's reaction, it's instinctive. So this is just like plants. The sun comes out and the plant, it's trained in its DNA. It's trained in the generations of survival and evolution to follow the sun, to dance when the sun turns, when the sun moves. You go towards the sun. It's instinctual. Humans have instinct, but it's also a very different kind. That's why you hear the term animal instinct when you see someone who is thrashing to survive in a very dangerous position. It's called animal instinct. And the animal instinct serves animals. And our instinct, whether it be animalistic or whether it be very thought out, very mental, very logical, very organized, that serves us too. So this part of physicality goes into fourth density, and fourth density is where we're coming out of that and we're going into a connection place, a place of heart, a place of expansion with connections. People say fourth density is heart, fourth density is love, unconditional love for yourself or for others. And yeah, that's true. That is true. But it's also your connection to everything, the connection to yourself, the mastery of yourself that you just got done with in third density. Now you're applying that to the internal parts of yourself. Now you're applying that to the external parts of yourself. Now you're applying it to inanimate objects. My connection with the internet, my connection with a computer, my connection with the technology that brings my ability to send my voice to all of you guys. Okay, that's a connection. And that's fourth density. And fifth density is connection, but instead of just connection, it's a connection and wisdom. It's an integration of all the thought. And sixth density is where like fourth density and fifth density meet, okay? It's a place where all the things that you want to connect with, or all the things that you're already connected to, you're able to master the wisdom with that connection. Or everything that you hold wisdom about, you want to connect with it. So there's always a drive to do one or the other, but one or the other only comes from having one. So if you're already connected to the planet you grew up on, the planet you're born into, then the drive would be to know everything about that. And if you already know about an abstract thing that you've never seen, let's say you're raised on Earth and you hear about Venusians, but you've never met one, then the knowledge will drive you to want the connection. You will search out Venusians at every point if that knowledge excites you. And that's what fifth density is. And it's a sixth density, sorry. It's a mastery of the level of physical reality altogether. And when I say knowledge, I'm not saying, hey, 1 + 1 = 2. What I'm saying is one exists because the vibrational frequency of one is this, and one is the prime number for subatomic particles and every physical creation. And then I'll tell you how a black hole works, and then I'll tell you everything about the makeup and structure of the conversation that we're having on a telepathic level, just all of these intensively in-depth and intimate knowledge. Fourth density, that's intimacy. Fifth density It's knowledge, it's mastery. And sixth density is the intimacy with knowledge. I mean, what a beautiful thought, right? But the reason I'm bringing all these levels, some of you who've already went through the density dimensions, the master class, density dimension master class, you guys already understand this. But the reason I'm bringing this up, this is where I started. The whole consciousness of the universe has to have all of those layers. And each layer inside of them, on all these levels, fractalizes further from the galaxies into the planets. And the fractalization from the large galaxy goes into all the solar systems, and all the solar systems to the planets. So it's a division of consciousness. But when you add everything up, it's just like the laws of physics. Nothing ever disappears. You cannot lose physical matter. You can transform it. You can transmute it. And that's what that experience is. So you have this physical reality, and you have consciousness that's embedded in that physical reality. And you have this experience of now, because we've designed this experience of being non-physical beings and knowing everything that we can and being connected to everything we can, not having separation, we design this great material plane to go in and have these experiences with. And the consciousness that's embedded into all of those physical things is a part of the mechanics of interaction. And, you know, I always do this. I bring up these large points and I just dive so deep into them, I lose track. But where I started was that only physical experience can teach you how to be separate. And then I explained the separateness and the division. And now let's take it back. Let's go to the universal consciousness, the mechanics of consciousness. First of all, I'm trying not to glance too frequently at the comments because I don't want to lose my train of thought. But some of you didn't realize the expansion of the universe itself is an expansion of consciousness. Now that's true for the universe, but it's not true for things inside of the universe, always. It can be, but it's not always. For example, the consciousness of a black hole, well, that doesn't expand. Even when material is brought into it, it's a compression, but yet the black hole is expanding. And black holes are much different types of consciousness than most stars. You know, the physical things we were talking about earlier, all of them have consciousness too. Not just these 6 layers of densities that I talked about. Those aren't the only things that have consciousness. The large things, the planets, the stars, the galaxies, they're all fractals of bigger things, but they also have consciousness from all the things that are collective about what's below them. And the black hole specifically is very interesting because consciousness is always expansive or can contract. And when it contracts, it's usually going through a pre-fractalization or a fractalization phase. For example, if a whole planet is saying, hey, we're going to start our planetary cycle now, incarnation cycle, we have to come together, then all the rocks that come together and form that planetoid, and planetoids hit other planetoids, and eventually a planet's made, and then it settles. And that energy expands by all the things that were added to it, the gases, the layers, the cooling processes. It ends up becoming a small, expansive planet. Now, a black hole is a consciousness that contracts, the fractalization. So when the Earth does that, right before it goes into the consciousness of placing the fractals of energy inside, then what happens there? Then a dividing happens. And that's why usually it contracts first. All of that material had to first contract. All the pressure of gravity had to make it into a big smooth ball. And then it fractalizes. Then that planet becomes a planet and starts the incarnation cycle. So even though the physical part didn't fractalize, the consciousness in it All those planetoids coming together were smaller consciousnesses that came together until they had enough to build that planet and said, okay, all the ones who are here to start this thing, let's start. And then the fractalization of the consciousness inside it divided into the first density plane of physical material, elemental material. And that's the forming of a planet. Now, I try to look at all the things I can that I understand about the science behind the evolution of planet to coincide with the consciousness. And it's a bit complex because some of these things are models of things we think we understand, but I use them because that's what we understand now. And for Treb and Aridif, I've never heard them deviate a lot from at least planet formation, solar system formation. So the scientists might have a good chunk of it right, at least, or at least enough to make it plausible. This experience of the black hole, now let's go back to the black hole. The fractalization is happening, but the black hole is almost a recycling of consciousness. When a black hole has thousands of stars sitting around the event horizon, one comes in every once in a while. And when that comes in and starts heading towards that event horizon and gets caught into the gravitational pull, the physical thing that we see happening in the universe is that this star and or solar system, maybe planets are still attached. I don't think we've ever been close enough to know or see that. But the star comes and then it's caught. It's in a place of no return and it's brought into this black hole. But the black hole doesn't expand. It's still the same size with small variances. Just the compression comes to an infinite place. So it continues to do that. That's what's physically happening. There's ejection of light, which is ejection of consciousness. But the energy inside of that consciousness, of that star, of a whole solar system collective is now being taken in to this black hole. And the light that redistributes the dust particles from the remnants of the event horizon, anything coming in or out of that region, that is spewed out as a plasma back into the universe. And the light and the plasma that goes back out into the universe actually starts congealing back into dust, space dust, rocks, eventually to a harder mass for planets or enough gas to have compression of gravity for a new star to start. So literally, this thing that was eaten away, which was like the only rule in our whole universe that matter can't disappear, is this black hole. Now, I understand there's Hawkins radiation theory and all of these things that show an actual transmutation of that energy, but that's very much exactly how the consciousness works behind it. The field of energy that leaves, the radiation that leaves, the plasma that spews from the poles of the star, the black hole, all of that going back out, that's the consciousness being recycled. That's consciousness saying, we didn't want to finish our cycle. Now, incarnation cycles, I did a whole video about that. Density Masterclass 101, Part 2, incarnation cycles. I suggest if you're interested in how incarnation cycles work to watch that one. If you're really interested in the densities and dimensions, watch the Density Masterclass 101, Part 1. That's the density and dimensions. But let's talk about that. Let's talk about this incarnation cycles that stop prematurely. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to take a drink of water. So this cycle that stops prematurely, that's what happens when that star gets sucked into a black hole. The star, the planets, all the things that were a part of that collective didn't finish its cycle, didn't want to finish its cycle. and found a way out. Stars that finish their incarnation cycle are stars that turn into white dwarfs, that turn into novas or supernovas. And even though there's still matter that transmutes, there's no real living matter there anymore. It's all just elemental first density stuff. So even that itself transmutes. But when an incarnation cycle prematurely stops, what's going on there? I mean, what's happening on the level of first the planet and then the consciousness? Well, it can be planet, it could be solar system, it could be galaxy, even though I don't see a destructive force in our physical galaxy large enough, unless it's a small galaxy colliding with a large one, or black hole ripping it apart, something to that effect. But let's take a planet, for example. We just used a star, so that's kind of the example. But on Earth, we've had incarnation cycles that have stopped well before the maturity of those incarnation cycles. Actually, I think all but one of them, or maybe two, actually never made it through all 6 densities of consciousness, which is the end game for a planetary collective consciousness. The first race that existed on Earth was the Khen. This is the maybe. I don't know. I know that they were the first, and that they were over 2.4 billion years ago. They left Earth when the oxygen levels started changing and becoming more abundant on Earth. Oxygen wasn't good for them. They couldn't do well with oxygen. They were aquatic beings, and they ended up leaving. Earth. So even though they may have survived to 6th density, they may have gone on and lived on to the 6th density. They didn't do it in Earth. So even that's kind of a premature. It's a shifting consciousness and incarnation cycle, not so much an ended one. But the next one, the Lumanians, which are not the Lumerians. A lot of people confuse the two. But the Lumanians were the second race. And they were a tall, skinny humanoid race that ended up being very similar to a lot of our indigenous humans. They ended up basically dying out of existence because they had rewired their consciousness. Basically, the collective consciousness said, let's come to Earth where there's a huge duality, and let's be sensitive to duality and see how that works out. I mean, this is the Earth collective consciousness saying, hey, let's give this a whirl, right? So what do? It evolves this beautiful race of humanoids that are so sensitive to violence and so sensitive to negative things that they ended up literally dying out because they couldn't protect themselves from the wildlife. They couldn't protect themselves from other forms of humanoid beings that were also through the same cycle they were. And I never got the name of that race. I don't think they lived either. But just like early humans, we had multiple iterations, and ours wasn't necessarily from natural evolution, more a part of our genetic DNA change. But these beings were getting attacked by other humanoid beings from Earth, and they couldn't defend them. They had become so sensitive to violence, they literally died out. It's funny. I knew about this partially from what Treb and Aridif talked, but another part of it was Jane Roberts and Seth had channeled about this, and they go in great detail there on the eternal validity of the soul. Seth speaks the eternal validity of the soul. If you ever want to know more about the Lumanians. And then there are the Lumerian and Atlanteans, but I can't remember if, no, that was the next cycle. Also humanoids, also on Earth, also died out. And I believe they died out in their early to mid 4th density. And that's because they were messing with technology. There was a divide in the consciousness. They thought that they had beat the dualistic nature of Earth, the spectral vibration gap of Earth, but they didn't, and that caused massive problems, fighting, a lot of discord within them. Also, shout out to all my Discord people out there. Hello, hello. I'm sorry, that just made me think of that. And then they die out, right? So far, we have 0 incarnation cycles that have made it through. And the one that might have made it through had to leave Earth to do it. I mean, that's how heavy this place is, guys. That's how intensive Earth consciousness is. So then we come to the reptilian, the Earth reptilian. These were dinoids. These were beings whose DNA also were manipulated. But these beings were manipulated by draconian beings directly, and were given life in that way, going from a second density to third. They're still here on Earth. They exist, but they're a density higher than we are. So these beings also very, very different in their nature. They have a lot of beings who are very benevolent, a lot of them that are malevolent, and a lot of them that are right in between. They're very, very spectral, like humans are. They're the only race that I know of that survived through the incarnation cycle. Now let's look back at this, though. We physically understand why all these beings die, but what was the consciousness and the drive behind the consciousness? The consciousness wanted to grow, wanted to expand, but the place in that cycle where the expansion was happening, there was nothing new that could come from the experience of being on that planet. This is why the Khen got up and left. They took off and were gone. This actually, they only had enough technology to get themselves to Mars, and there was a race that lived there that took them across the galaxy. Just so you guys knew how that one ended. But the consciousness wants to expand. It wants to grow. And if we cannot sustain that growth on a physical plane, then time's up. Race is over. Done being a part of the physical reality. Expansion and growth come in a lot of different ways. And I think all of us know enough about how Earth works to really get that. You see it everywhere. You see death, pain, suffering, sorrow, anger can motivate great growth in people. I'm an example of that. My drug use, I think, is one of the major factors of growth for me. So let's look at what other points here we can talk about. Let me check back on the chat here real quick. What do I think about international communities? I love international communities. I think more and more places should come together and work together, and people from these communities should try spending time and living together. It'd be great. Thank you, Divine Hood. I appreciate that. I do. Trying to wrangle my consciousness all day. Yeah, I hear that too. Cassiopeians, are they nearby? Or here as our higher selves? Well, all right. Well, I will tell you this. When the word higher self comes up, the way that I would use it and the way others would use it, probably not the same. When you say higher self to me, what that means is the higher density part of myself that exists in the higher plane. Humans, being multidimensional, have an opportunity to have an avatar consciousness experience in every density and dimension that's physical. So our higher self is just the consciousness that's part of our entity that's not localized in the body. So the higher self is the rest of our soul that's helping us guide. And, that part of us is the same as we are. It's from Earth, at least in this lifetime. I mean, it can have Cassiopeian energy, I'm sure. Cassiopeians do connect with Earth a lot. But the fractal there is the same as ours. It's very earthbound or earth-based. Even star seeds. I mean, in this lifetime, you're earth-based. So even that. More people who would deal with the higher self, you're probably talking about larger guides or beings that are in our oversoul. And if that's the case, they're not really in our higher self that way, but they're connected in a way that could feel like a higher self. So yeah, I think there are a lot of Caspians who are directly and definitely connecting with humans on multiple levels. If you want to know more about Cassipians, go through the channel, type it in. I've channeled at least one or two of them before, and I think they were both different race. If I did channel two, but I do know Cassiopeia has at least 3 races of multidimensional or extra dimensional beings. So definitely check that out. And thank you, Gail, for checking in with us on that one. Interesting. Universe expands as consciousness does. Yes, absolutely. That's very true. And that's why it's at a pace that's why the actual physical universe is expanding. When you see stars starting to swell up, it means they're coming to their end of their incarnation cycle. It means their expansion of consciousness is quick. And usually that only happens either when all like the 6 density beings who are at their own level are done evolving, or if there's no consciousness that's left on any of the planets, or if there are elemental second density, things like that. It just means that those beings have grown sufficiently for their own desire, and that the whole solar system comes to an end. And that's why they expand, nova and supernova. Yeah, so it's very interesting. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Massive black hole center galaxy. I think we talked about that. Yeah, former drug use. Thank you, Kalina. Bitcoin. Yeah, Bitcoin's I used to mess with it. I don't anymore, but yeah, it's just more corporations have put their money into it. It's become more mainstream, so I think it's okay, and I think it's good. The blockchain technology is amazing. They're using it in different applications all the time. But I don't think it's going to last long term. Once a government makes a cryptocurrency, it will be backed by governments, so there will be no use for altcoins, at least in my perspective. Yeah, thank you for the question, too, Chris. I appreciate that. Much love to you too, C. Yes, I do know Divinehood. I know all of you guys really do love us and support us. I really do. Thank you. Yes, Galactic Channelings, absolutely I do. Thank you, Kalina. All right, let's check out this one from Scott. Scott says, could you, if you wanted, with the help of Trevor Aridif, contact or channel thought? It's possible. I've channeled entities who've used that energy as an archetype, but it wasn't them. A lot of beings do that, and it kind of irritates me and Kalina. I had a being called Ramiel that I channeled, and I was like, oh man, I channeled, like an archangel consciousness, a high matrix level consciousness. And then I listened back, and it's an avian being who used the name because the Elohim on Earth were using it, and they were connected to the Elohim. I was like, dude, no, you're not Ramiel. You're not the reason why that name. But there's 1,000 Ra's out there. That's why people say the Ra material. I know what they're talking about. But Ra literally has thousands of iterations through Earth. So maybe I could. It's possible. I'm pretty sure Thoth is in like a 7th density collective form. To be honest, I don't think there are any physical parts of that consciousness left. But it's possible. I definitely have channeled a 7th density consciousness before. Much love to you too, Felix. Do you know what the Earth is like in other universes? Not personally, no more than what I know as to say that other universes are infinite. So there are versions of every single possible outcome that any of us could have. Every small change, big change. There are universes with that. There are universes where they look nothing like ours, that physical things don't work the same. There are universes that are void of everything but sound, vibration, and light. There's liquid metal universes. I mean, literally infinite universes on different rules. So you can just imagine anything that you want in your mind, and there is definitely a version of it, guaranteed. Just in your twin soul, the twin soul, which is like the twin of the oversoul, that's what helps us create probabilities. You know, we're shifting in our now moment. We're going to different realities like every second. When that happens, the twin soul is creating all the possible outcomes and swapping over the energy with the oversoul so that the focus of our consciousness can stay in. The decision and free will of the oversoul focus consciousness is what creates the physical manifest of that energy. So that's kind of how it works, and that's what the twin soul does. So even that, you could look into your own twin soul and do that. The scope of consciousness that manage the galaxy is enormous. It boggles the mind. Yeah, think about it. All the galaxies that are out there, and there are hundreds of billions that we can see, plus tons more we can't see, and each of those have hundreds of billions to hundreds of trillions of stars. And a star, as we know, 1 out of every 6 or 7 that we've looked at has at least a planet around, sometimes up to 12, 17, 30 planets. So imagine all those hundreds of trillions of stars in one galaxy that can have 0 to 12 planets. And the moons, I mean, Jupiter's got like 30, 40 some moons, satellites on just Jupiter. Now we're starting to see on one galaxy of consciousness, and then times that by hundreds of trillions of galaxies. It's mind-boggling. As bad as it is to try to visualize the sheer size of the universe, imagine the consciousness that's in that. Beautiful point. Metatron, yeah, Metatron's back. I'm going to be channeling him more too. Metatron is definitely a being that I've definitely been connecting to more. I'm going to go to just 2 more questions, guys, the 2 that I have on screen now, and then I got to get neutralizing for my, I'm going to bring in Aridif to talk a little bit about consciousness mechanics, because it's already 12:10. I got a real late start tonight, unfortunately. Well, I mean, doing my class, I had to, but after that, it took me a while to get back in. So, astral attacks. Want to pursue astral projection, experience less. Okay. So here's the thing about astral projections. All right. Astral projection is a leaving of the body and connecting in a higher dimensional place with the consciousness outside of your body. Well, the good thing is, when you're out and about in the astral realm, even though your consciousness is there, your physical body's not. So most of the time, these experiences people have on the astral plane, very rarely does it translate to anything in the physical body except for the trauma that it causes. For example, if you get into some fight in the astral state, that fight's not going to affect your physical body, but the mental stress of being attacked, the mental stress of having these really scary things happen to you, that does affect your body. That consciousness isn't localized in your body anyway, for the most part. Some of it is. We take the mental energy out and about with us, and we take a big portion of ourselves out with us. But most of that's our higher dimensional stuff. They're dealing with that. We just kind of slip into the focus unless we can be, more lucid, and then more of our consciousness is there. And that's all lucid dreaming is. Lucid astral is more of the consciousness that's in our body is out there, and we have more control over it because that's our consciousness, not our higher self, not our 4th, 5th, or 6th density version of that consciousness, but ours. So it becomes more lucid. Excuse me, guys, I need to take a drink here. People fear the astral state for reasons of siphoning, possession, interferences, things like that. Yes, all those things have root in experiences that people have. But something that Treb and Aridif both taught and reconfirmed, the reason I've never had to deal with any of that is because I'm connected to myself in excitement. And when I neutralize, it takes all that excess emotion away. It takes away the fear. So I'm not even thinking about anything related to the experience except for my excitement to connect with Treb and my excitement to have channeling brought forward. So that excitement really protects a lot of the energy on the periphery. Plus, in my own mind, I have a belief system that when you're aligned with yourself, you're connecting to the highest part of your higher self, seventh density. Seventh density is way bigger than any being that exists in physical reality. Sixth density is Aridif or Alpha Draconian, huge consciousnesses. Not even they can mess with you if you're truly aligned with yourself on that higher self level. So having authentic nature of yourself, having an authentic consciousness, having a consciousness that's connected to excitement when you're doing these things, that's really the key. I'm going to be dropping a video soon. I'm in the middle of editing it. Actually, I'm going to play a little bit for you guys. When I go into my neutralizing, I've got a couple clips to play for you. One of them is a preview of a channeling I'm going to be dropping here in the next few days. This video actually talks about protection. Or no, you know what? No, it doesn't. I'm sorry. I take that back. It wasn't this one. It was Being with the Beings. The book I did with Miguel Mendonça. I was just listening back. They finally got an audiobook version. And actually, I went extensively over that information about protection. So if you have the ability to check that book out, I would. I think we've talked about it at least once or twice in Patreon too. So definitely check that out. All right, and this is the last thing. Thank you, Anthony. Canadian Awareness says Rob channels authentic, genuine, 100% Metatron. I appreciate that compliment. Yes, I do channel Metatron, and I will be channeling more of Metatron's energy soon, guys. I'm going to go to the last question here that was up before I said I was going to only do two more. And Scott again. A more pertinent question that could touch on many of the type's goals as a soul right now. Everyone seems to be focused on ascension, but some of us here to become embodied ascendant masters. All right, perfect. That's a great question. Let me take a drink of water and we'll cover this. First of all, right now, that's what all of us are doing on Earth. All of us have come to Earth to get this third density thing done with, to master the sense of self. Going into fourth density is considered ascension, but we're already there. We've been there for a long time. If you want to be very, very specific, the 2003 was the starting of it, and this year is the end of the accelerated density shifting acceleration consciousness. That's been there. It's been there for 18 years at this point. 9-year cycle before 2012, 9-year cycle after. 2012 was supposed to be a big thing for a lot of people, but Treb had always said it's a precipice. It's just the peak of energy that takes you right to the end. And then the accelerated third density consciousness will be over at the end of this year. But that also scares a lot of people. What then? What then? Well, our fourth density regular consciousness starts. The energy that motivates regular everyday fourth density life starts producing at that time. Now, a lot of us are going to continue to experience third density stuff. We're not fourth density yet because we haven't grown to be fourth density beings yet. We haven't mastered ourselves. We haven't started to open that love portal of energy, like true, real, unconditional long-term love. I consider myself a fairly loving person, a fairly tolerant person, a fairly accepting person. I have friends, all different belief systems, levels of energy, um, just completely different beliefs, all the way to people who are similar in my beliefs, but way different in their personalities. And I still have friends across the board because I have that tolerance in me, right? But even I, being as authentic as I can, being as open and loving as I can, still are nowhere close to being a fourth density being all the time. A lot of people in our community who are more etheric, who are less grounded in physicality, a lot of them have said they've been experiencing more and more and more fourth density life. And I don't doubt that they have. I really think that they have. Everything Treb and Aridif has said has supported the fact that you can have fourth density experiences, and you could have had it before 2003 if your consciousness was focused high enough. But the majority of people on Earth aren't going to experience that, and they're not going to experience it because that experience of being a fourth density being is just still really far away from the typical Earth experience. To do fourth density properly and to start opening like huge levels of psychic ability and being able to be telepathic and all of that stuff from like ground zero to 100% telepathic, most humans, it would take years to get that. Most humans, and even in the accelerated consciousness, could take a few years. But the level of that energy is really different for everybody. Now, if you're simply coming to that Earth experience so that you can be genuine and that you can try to embody mastery, I say I'm all for that. I think if we want to master ourselves, that's a beautiful thing. It's a good thing. The thing is, our community often looks at this like it's got to be one way. Like we have literally got to master our reality by being just simply loving and being, embedded with love and light. But not a lot of people are focused that way. I myself, like I said, I'm genuine, I'm open, I'm accepting, but I still don't have just love and light on my mind all the time because we're in Earth. We're dealing with real things that are real problematic for a lot of people. Seeing people go through things, even if I'm not, activates my empathy, concern, even though I trust them as creators. I value their creatorship. I don't want to interfere with that. It still activates that empathic side of me that wants to be able to help, which sees the bad things. So regardless of how much time and effort and energy I put in, no matter how much I can channel, I wouldn't say that fifth density or fifth dimensional consciousness is they're going to be ready and available to everyone right away. It's going to take time to grow into it. And I think it's important. Aridif and myself did a really great video on this too. It's called Ascension, or no, it's called The Event, Ascension in a Flash. We talked about all of this stuff in great depth. And even Aridif has shared many times, is it possible for one consciousness to just ascend? Yes. Is it likely? Almost never on Earth. It would be an extremely rare thing for people to go through that quick snap of consciousness and raising. It would have to be someone literally, in my opinion, who almost just came to Earth just to do that. Like the consciousness in the stories that we hear about Buddha and Christ and Krishna and all these beings, that type of growth, it's very rare, very rare. But to have the purpose of being the best you that you can be and growing into that, that's where we find most of these telepathies and abilities to channel and telepathic energy and all of that stuff. All right, guys, I'm gonna get moving. I'm going to get ready to connect with Aridif, and he's going to share a little bit. Yeah, I might. I actually have channeled Archangel Michael before. I Raphael once. And I believe I channeled either the real Ramiel or the real Samael or one of the other ones. So yeah, I've channeled other ones, but usually it's the same way. With Aridif helping me connect. Metatron's the only being outside of the knee hall that I don't need Treb Bor Yit to help me connect with. So yeah, it's very, very good. All right, guys, I'm going to shut up. I'm going to go neutralize. The first clip I'm going to play you is a project that I'm working on right now with a good friend of mine, William from Fincastle Underground. It's called Oneironaught. And the second one, this is a sneak peek to that channeling that I'm going to be sharing here in the next few days once it gets edited. So enjoy this, guys. I'll be back, like I said, in about 10, 12 minutes. And then we're going to jump in with Aridif. Love you guys. And we'll see you on the other side of this.
You probably don't know what an Oneironaught is, but it's okay. You will. Your consciousness is not trapped in your head. It's free to travel anywhere, through time or in space. You just forgot how. The dream world is real too. And, if you get good enough, you can connect with other intelligent consciousness, other dreamers, or people who have since died. The people you meet might not even be people. Just ask Rob Gauthier. Rob enters a deep trance so that alien beings may borrow his body and use his voice to share their messages with us. That's why they call him the ET Whisperer. With Rob's help, along with the extraterrestrials that work with him, we will explore the unknown reality that surrounds us all. With enough practice, even you can become an Oneironaught.
Hello, Aridif. This is Sheila. So great to have you here again. Thank you for being here.
Yes, of course. It is truly our greatest excitement to be here with you yet again.
Wonderful. We have a couple questions tonight, and the first one is from Carol, and she would like to, and this is a long one, but she would like to know how our universe, consciousness, and the human history all began.
Yes, of course. As far as consciousness goes, there is no history to be expressed. In all forms of going backwards through a linear time perspective, there are simply more consciousnesses. There is a beginning, though, in fact, to the one portion of consciousness that all of us are small fractalization of. That is the larger universal collective consciousness. What is the universal collective consciousness? Imagine yourself and all humans who have ever existed upon Earth. Add them together from your past, your now moment, and the future, from the moment that the Earth is birthed to the moment that all life ceases to exist upon Earth. Every individual that is human is part of the Earth collective consciousness. Every animal, plant, bacteria, cellular, amoeba are also a part of that experience and a part of the Earth collective consciousness. Every entity that was from first through sixth density that has ever existed, including those that are connected into your expression and experience, from Atlantis and from Lumeria and Lumania, are part of that Earth collective consciousness. Those that first inhabited Earth after it was inhabitable, known as the Khen, are part of the Earth collective consciousness. This is one planet of consciousness. Take what is on the moon as a part of the Earth collective consciousness, all of the life that exists there, that did and that will exist there, part of one planet of consciousness. Now, go to all of the experiences of planets that are within your solar system collective consciousness, all of the planets that you are aware of, the dozens of planets that were here before humans came to Earth, and the multiple planets that come in to your solar system from external or from the further ends of your solar system, and all of the life forms that exist from their birth and to the time where no life exists are also a part of your solar system collective consciousness. This is simply one solar system, and there are hundreds of billions of solar systems in the galaxy that all of us exist in. This galaxy that is known as your Milky Way collective consciousness is one galaxy out of the hundreds of trillions of galaxies just in your perceivable portion of the universe. And that is expressed that what you perceive as part of the universe is less than 1/100th the size of that universe initially. All of the lifetimes that have ever existed from the birth of this universe to the end are simply the fractals of life that have existed in the physical realm for the universal collective consciousness. But it is not just those that inhabit bodies that exist. Going above and looking at all of the fractalizations that we have shared, all of those portions of life that we have shared all exist also in non-physical form. As humans, in a collective format, you have oversouls that are non-physical in nature, yet small pieces and parts of those break apart and enter the Earth collective consciousness. Now that you understand the scope of consciousness just in this universe, remember that before all of us joined this universe together and joined a co-created collective consciousness with an agreement to experience a universe and where all of the laws of this universe exist, where consciousnesses have formats from one galaxy to the other in different layers, all of us agreed that this would be the expression, experience, physicality that we have in this universal cycle. And we broke apart that universal cycle in order to have galactic cycles and solar system cycles, planetary cycles, and eventually life cycles for different species upon each planet and consciousness. Before this universe was another, before that universe was another. But when you step outside of your body, you can better understand that there is no time, that you are living in this universe and in infinite versions of other universes at the same time, but as different entities, as different fractals of consciousness. So when you can express how old is the Earth, we can tell you that the estimation of 7 billion years is an understatement from some humans. The far end of that, at 4 billion years, also a very low guess for that estimate. Going over 14 billion years of the Earth collective consciousness just since life inhabited it, of course, is a different cycle altogether. But this is simply the Earth, and all of you who are bound to the Earth for the total Earth incarnation cycle have existed here since its beginning and have continued forward and will continue until you are tired of working with Earth. All of the starseeds have entered recently, but have also come from other places, such as the Pleiades, such as the old tourists, such as all of these star systems that you understand and know from Syrians to Andromedans and beyond. And yet all these entities have existed in this galactic collective consciousness for billions upon billions of years. And again, you step outside of your physicality and there's no linear time expression. It is more so the expression, how many universes, how many incarnations, and how many fractalizations do you have? And that number always points to infinite. And if infinite does not hold the same meaning, it means something beyond what you can comprehend from our own perspective. And even our consciousness, as less limited as it feels and as it is perceived, still perceives limitations on the amount of incarnations that we can perceive one go through, and how many universal collective consciousnesses are part of all that is.
All right, guys. All right, let me see. Yeah, okay, everybody can hear me. All right. Hello, everybody who just dropped in. Our dear friend Tasha from Preferred, I always say Preferred First, Practice Preferred Frequency Light. She's our good friend too, so I wanted to say hello. And this is not Patreon. That is tomorrow night for all of you guys here on Patreon. The Q&A thing. So yeah, thank you for checking in, and hello. If you guys want to see her reading the book, Benevolent Reptilian Human Hybrids, I've got it on a playlist on my channel too, guys. You can check that out. Thank you for stopping in. We appreciate seeing you here too. Hello. All right, guys. Hello. Yeah, no, you didn't miss it. Not this time. Not this time. Tomorrow we'll be doing that. So before I channel, guys, just a reminder for everybody. When I bring in Aridif, he'll be giving a reflection of just some of the things we're talking about. I'm not going to be channeling him long tonight. It's already at 12:30 here. I didn't expect to get such a late start. But I just want to say I love you guys. Thank you for your support. The calendar's back up for our website. And also wanted to let you guys know there is, for audio and video sales that we've got too, we're starting a sale tomorrow on all of our stuff. So if you guys want to look, and that's not just for ET Whisper, it's for ET Whisper and Channel Panel. So if there's any recordings, videos that you guys wanted to get, it's all half off for the next 1 week. And the next week is 50% off of everything. You have to use ET Whisper 50% off as your code, but you have to capitalize the ET, and the rest is smaller case. And I'll paste that here in the comments so you guys can see it. If any of you are interested in that too, guys. Oh, Tasha got 2 hoodies. She's got to send a picture. She's going to send me a picture, and then I'll put it in the next video that we got up, guys. In the YouTube chat, at least, you could see the ET 50% off. Deborah's got her artist shirt. Deborah's been featured in many of our videos. She's wearing her shirt with one. It's amazing. So that stuff is not going to be on sale for 50% off because that's a different thing. It'll just be our digital products, but those are also awesome. And all that stuff. Our whole website, we revamped it, guys. So you can check that out and check out our Patreon. Check out everything that you want to check out. But let's get to the channeling, guys. I love you guys. Thank you all for showing up tonight. Thank you for being a part of this. It's appreciated more than you guys know. I'm going to take one more drink, guys, and we're going to jump in. Oh, no, it's okay, Tasha. I appreciate the excitement of sharing about the hoodies. It's all good. No worries, guys. All right, guys. I love you guys. I will see you guys on the other side. Enjoy.
Greetings all, this is Aridif, it's A-R-I-D-I-F, and this is its spell. We understand that all are speaking in this day of the consciousness, mechanics, the universal, galactic, solar system, and planetary collective consciousnesses, as well as the personal individual consciousness as well. But before diving into this construct, we wish to express the true things that we have always expressed. The first, above and beyond all things that are expressed in this day, to know, feel, and of course to perceive that you are loved, in our perspective, is of the utmost excitement and of utmost importance. Secondly, it is truly our greatest excitement to co-create with you in this moment, in the previous moment, in your future linear moment, and through all moments of your experienced expressive time of a linear perspective. Now, going into the consciousness of the Earth collective form, all of you understand progression of consciousness, understand evolution of consciousness, and understand the certain co-creations and collective creations that are meant to be the driving factor and forces of those co-creations. And we have shared through many times of your recent events that occur upon your planet and the reason that those are driving the co-creator collective form or taking the direction of the co-creator collective form for the benefit of conscious evolution that exists within that planetary scale, in order for the singular consciousnesses all to experience a shared form of evolution. And of course, the planetary scale that experience and exist within the co-creator collective form of energy exist as for this to occur with you in your experience as part of your third to fourth density evolution, and the third to fourth density exchange being the part of energy in which all of you are going through in this moment shows you natural transition of that consciousness in the way that the motivation of the free will conscious independent souls can come together and create it in larger scales and for collective purposes. So, understanding this from the nature of human consciousness that evolves, then you can start understanding the nature, experience, and expression for the individual and the reason the individual consciousness works, and allows that to also not only project the fourth density consciousness that internally starts with one being and projects itself as a version of reality around them, but also vice versa, as that same collective mimics in micro scale the consciousness that is going on within the individual portion. Now, weighing that individual versus collective is an important part of the consciousness mechanics in which we can share. That will help all of you elaborate not only better, but a more fitting construct of energy that allows you to see the workings, that teeter-tottering of consciousness that can be played from both singular player and multiplayer consciousness of the game of Earth, and all of you are involved in this moment. So let us start first with the consciousness of the human form and the projection of larger consciousness that comes. First of all, as all of you understand, and as Rob has shared in great enough terms to make it somewhat more accessible to the mental states of those who once did not recognize the construct, that all of you are within the collective consciousness as a projection of consciousness that comes from your own self. It is important to know that in each fractal of consciousness lies the embedment of the larger piece in whence it came, and that means that each of you, coming from the planet Earth consciousness, holds that same seal of energy that the whole entire Earth holds, but does so on a microscopic level, a micro print of consciousness amongst the larger consciousness that you would hold inside of your body. And although your physical body and entire entity that flows into the higher fractal consciousness are still yet only a small print of consciousness of yourself as a perspective or percentage of the larger Earth collective consciousness, you are still able to utilize that on a much smaller scale in order to imprint that energy inside of you and be a part of you and be a motivating factor for the change in the energy that drives you within your conscious energies. And because you are micro scale of that same larger collective energy, you can then project that into your greater universe around you. This is why we have shared with all of you that this is your universe. When we express that this is your universe, we do not mean in simple terms that you are strong enough of a creator to run the universe in the way that you desire. We do not mean that you are a strong, fierce individual and that you can have your way in life, meaning that non-deliberately, and perhaps in that way even as a form of projection, that you are simply fitting into the universe. What we mean is all of you have an individualized version of that universe as a part of your consciousness, and that same physical scope of energy that is around you is in fact that same print of consciousness that you exist in, meaning that the projection of the universe is directly created by your own consciousness, and that is your universe that you work within and create around you. And all of you are doing this at the same time with one another. Fascinating prospects. How am I able to run the entirety of the universe inside of me and another run their own universe inside of them, and then we overlap, creating the same universe together? Well, in fact, it is quite similar to this construct, more closely than most humans realize. Imagine yourself sitting in a circle 360 degrees with 100 human beings, each of them centered in that perfect circle, facing the inward portion of the circle, facing the exact center. And let us express that the center may be a sphere that is white and reflective, and you could project a movie onto that screen from your own self, holding the projector in your hands at the same height and level. And if all of you were to play that same exact film that is formatted from only your perspective, the one piece of the greater film, and projected that energy, all of you could watch the same movie. All of you would have one frame of that movie in your own perspective, being able to see the entirety of the movie in 360 degrees in the sphere in front of you. And that is because all of you are projecting that same universal imprint onto the shared screen around you. And that shared screen is physical reality itself. Physical screen being that of the energy in which you are is the manifestation of your projection onto the universe of your consciousness. And you allow those that are next to you to be the symphony of creators that expresses the entirety of the circle, of the movie, of that projection. Imagine if there are only one human standing on each cardinal direction, each portions of that energy, there would only be 4 projections. not enough to create 360-degree view upon that sphere in the center. You would not be able to project singularly an entire frame in which could be seen by all. It would take all of you at 360 degrees sharing that projection, although the projection comes and starts and begins with yourself. The master print of the file is embedded within all of those projectors, yet it is shared in that movie. Some of you are out of sync with yourself. Some of you would be out of sync with your projection. When you place your projection onto that screen, you are one moment off. That creates disharmony in your portion of that screen. This is what humans utilize when they place a great deal of beliefs over top of their own creation, creating beliefs that say we do not have the ability to create, creating beliefs that say we are highly limited consciousnesses and beings that are not infinite in nature, that are finite to only one incarnation, and are live or die by the grace of some external consciousness entity that only gives us one life, and eternity depends upon that life of experience. That is a distorted projection that occurs. Now, all humans that stood in that circle, if their projection was all highly disturbed and distorted, but distorted in the same exact manner, of course, they would share the same distortions seen by all sides of that projector. This is what is occurring. The universe has its own rules. It also has its own imprint within you, its own regulations for what can occur in the physical reality called the universe. As it is the largest consciousness, it dictates that energy to all humans and all beings and all galaxies and all things within their own universe consciousness. So it has its own seal that is part of that projection. Galaxy that all of us share is yet another imprint of that energy, your solar system, yet another imprint. Now you have several lenses that you must play your movie through. Most of these lenses will be clear of resistance because there's not a deep enough understanding about a universe, a solar system, a planet that would create large or interfering forms of distortions or disturbances within. So it may be slightly foggy in that way, but still you are able to see a projection from that energy. It is mostly the Earth collective conscious layer of that field that is disturbed the most. And why is it disturbed? Because your lenses were handed down by your parents. The lenses are beliefs that they also came from their own parents, and on, living in a shared vibration of this disturbing view of the Earth consciousness. But when the Earth originated its own consciousness, it also desired great distortions within it. The imprint of distortions itself placed upon that lens before ever being owned by a human being. Those lenses of that energy are distortions that do in fact express that Earth vibration will be of a great spectrum, that spectrum of energy would be of a shared co-creation value, that the vibrational frequency upon that spectrum will be the larger of all spectrums, the most benevolency and connection and at oneness that can occur in one side of that spectrum, and of course the most malevolent upon the other side of that spectrum. In all of these are simple for all of you to see. You can learn this, you can know this, you can perceive this simply by knowing. Our world has strange things to offer, says all humans at all places, at all times. Our Earth can be both the most magnificent castle and the worst prison at the same time, says all humans through all times, of all places, and all expressions. We have great beauty and great sadness, yet another moniker expressed and then printed upon your earth collective vibration, a shared disturbance and dissolution of your films that project. One moment. We will work with hydration, Rob's throat, and then continue. So now all of you hold a disturbance in the film, shared co-creation, and starting to work on clearing that lens. This is what all of you are doing in this moment. You are not finding answers because we are giving them to you. This is not the way free will conscious care type 1 entities operate. We cannot simply walk into your planet and tell you that everything you know is wrong, that everything you see is wrong. There must be the answer within you for us to reflect back to you before we are able to show you that expression in the way that you desire. All of you have said you have taught us a great deal of the mechanics of consciousness, yet your higher self already knew that energy. Your subconscious already knew that energy. There were ancestors in your lineage, past lives that you yourself experienced, where that distortion was not deep. And in this incarnation, all of you desire to take your glasses off, to clean the lenses as greatly as you can, knowing that the imprint distortions may still be there, but you will see it in the best way possible. That decision ever before entering Earth incarnation, here you are, in the moment of great reflection with yourself, by yourself, from yourself, with our own excitement to co-create and reflect those truths back to you. As you see your own consciousness expressing more and more truths within, it only shows you the empowerment that you are that version of creator in your universal structure. That you yourself are the consciousness that started the conversation, that your excitement through synchronicities of your own creation allowed you to come into contact with an entity such as ourselves who would dare reflect back all of those things that you are excited to have reflected back to you, and all of the things that you burned desire to know. Many humans have said, you are responsible for my growth. You are responsible for my expansion. And we have shared at all times. As you give your queries to us, we are able to explore your consciousness. And because all of us are one, this allows us to explore our own consciousness. And once we explore our own consciousness more thoroughly, just as all of you are doing upon your own in this moment, it gives us that same opportunity to expand and to grow. This is why we have always congratulated you for the growth that you have had in your experience of expanding. The experience of having us be that great reflector for you, for the truth in which you are already aware. This is also why we thank you for our own expansion, as you have been that great reflector for us. And although there are disturbances within that earth lens from the human perspective, believing that your disturbed lens exists stronger than what it truly is also an additional fact upon the level in which that disturbance, dissolution, distortion goes. So we'll share this with you as we are disconnecting for this evening. We wish to share with all of you that as you are creating, understanding the nature of your projection of reality is vitally important for the creation of that better, more expansive, and least resistant reality. What this means, find the reason why your lens is distorted. Find those beliefs in which your lens distorts. Find those that you are co-creating with who also are sharing projections that are disturbed and projections that are not clear. allow yourself common mind setting that if you share your experience with those who have distorted projections, that being a part of that co-creation, knowing that there are distorted projections being shared with others is important. We would never suggest to cut any human out of your experience, nor cut them out of your life. We are only saying the knowledge of your own consciousness, knowing that their lens is distorted more than yours, allows you to be able to know when looking at that shared projection with this person, what part of that lens may be blurry, but making sure your assessment of yourself is honest is as equally important. Many humans have expressed, I cannot work with other humans whose lenses are distorted. They are greatly distorted, while mine is rarely distorted, yet that itself is another distorting. That itself creates your projection to be as unclear as you believe theirs to be. The energy of knowing that you share the vibration of Earth with those with slightly different distortions to greatly different distortions upon their lens is important. Knowing how that distorts also important. Reminding all of yourselves that you are in the Earth co-creator collective consciousness, and all of you are here for a larger co-creation with one another. But you are also here as a singular creator consciousness to expand in the greatest terms, to have that tailor-fit experience that only you can create and only you can desire. By doing so, it is placing your greatest excitement at the forefront, knowing where your lenses are blurred and knowing where next to work on the belief systems that you hold. Now we have shared once and we will always share. The greatest tool to help you clean your lenses is the 10-step belief system process. It is that tool that we have co-created to help the human collective look more deeply at themselves, to be more honest with themselves, and to be the clear projection that they desire. And as you look for that conscious construct, it opens up the mind, heart, solar plexus trilogy that opens the human experience more wholly. We would express also that as you are working with all human beings, be aware of what distortions you may be giving to others. With distortions, all humans work with greatest ability to connect to their own conscious construct and know that just as humans who wear thick glasses often have weak eyes, those weak eyes are becoming strong, and because they are working harder to see through those distortions, it only makes those eyes that much stronger after they are repaired. Do not perceive the lenses as a handicap to you in that way if you desire to grow from this. If you desire to grow, look at them as the great gift that you are given in order to find more clarity within. If the external reality around you is perceived as blurry, then of course you will be forced to come back in to your own consciousness and of course take a greater form of expansion. We wish to share with all of you that not only are you loved, but we love you all as well. We will bid you all adieu for this evening. Adieu.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Well, I hope everything went well, guys. Hope the session went well. Just letting you guys know, I'll be uploading an edited version of that clip that I tried playing a little earlier. Yeah, of course, Alfonso, please ask away. I'm also going to be dropping a video that our friend William did about Seth and about Jane Roberts channeling. It was really amazing. So I'm going to share that here in the next few days too. And I'm waiting for your question, Alfonso. I'll wait here for a minute, guys. Hope everything went well, guys. Hope everything's doing good. Oh, I'm glad to hear it, guys. And I'm glad to hear it went great. Yeah, thank you guys too. Absolutely. No worries at all, guys. No worries. I'm still waiting for Alfonso's question here. I'm not sure I see your question. I only see, can I, this is what I see. Can we ask something? Oh, and that, and that's all I see, Alfonso. I'm not sure if you had another question. Oh, right here. To happen with Mother Earth. Do you know about this? Oh, I see. It's broken up into parts. Okay. Something is about to happen to Mother Earth. I understand. Yeah, I mean, Earth consciousness is shifting. The physical Earth is shifting. We've seen different weather patterns. And I'm not even talking about human-made global warming or any of that. I'm talking about actual low in the core changes to the mantle and to the cross levels of the earth. Those things have been changing. So like what weather is basically any earth change, any volcano, any hurricane, any of those things, those are all shifting of energies from humans. And because humans are shifting so much and animals are shifting from second to third, it's creating the outpouring of resistance. And that resistance is then used into earth and then transmuted through cycles and stuff. So yeah, earth is changing, making big changes in the energy that it has. As far as catastrophe, disaster, large changes like that, I don't think so. Treb and Aridif haven't said anything about that. The consciousness of the people are shifting fast enough. I think we're just going to see more bad stuff, like more volcanoes happen a little bit here and there, and more, hurricanes, tornadoes, stuff like that. But I don't think it's going to be like disastrous changes. All of those are miniature disasters on their own, kind of, to the people who live there. But I don't think it's going to be like end of the world, stuff like that. I really don't think. I really don't think anything like that's going to happen. I wouldn't worry about it. Me and Kalina have figured it this way. If something ever happened to the Earth where just like it said, hey, extinction level event is happening, that means for us, the Earth is ready for us to go. What can you do? All right, we'll start the next cycle out, So I try not to worry about those types of things. I know that it's practical and that things like that can happen, but yeah, I don't give it much power. I know the Earth is just going through a lot of changes because we are, and it's got to blow off its steam somehow. So absolutely, guys. Guys, I see all of your comments, and I'm so happy to see all of your guys' love and all of your outpouring of your heart, your love, your excitement, and everything. But it is 1:06, and I've got to jump off. I got to get ready for tomorrow. And gotta get the day. And yes, I see that, Alfonso. I figured that was the case. Yeah, a positive change is going to happen soon. Aridif and Treb have been saying for a while that by the end of this year, a lot of things will shift with people's perspectives, and a lot of people, even if they weren't, like right now, it's literally two groups of people living in two separate realities is what's happening on Earth right now. And they said even that will start coming to a place where more people are going to be able to see more transparency as the year runs out, and more things are going to start leveling out, where both seeds will see the reason why they went so extreme one way or the other, and kind of come back more towards that central place, because they'll see all the proof of everything they need to see, and it'll just be like more transparent. And it's a long process, but at least it'll start by the end of this year. I think it's already starting to start. So absolutely, guys, I love you guys so much. Love you with all my heart. I'm really excited all of you guys popped in tonight. It's really great to see you guys so much. Thank you, Kalina, for being here, sweetie, and chatting up with everybody. And thank all of you guys for coming. I love you guys so much. Sleep well. Everybody who's on our Patreon, we'll see you guys tomorrow night for the in-depth topic. And everybody who's not on Patreon, in the next few days, I'll be trying to drop one of the 2 videos that we've got, and a third one we're working on editing too. So love you guys so much. We'll see you guys soon. Love you. Thanks again. Have a great night, everybody. Good night.